The outcome of Randy Fine's race played out just as expected. He secured a win but underperformed, confirming predictions. Former President Trump carried the district by 30 points in 2024, and I won it by over 35 points in 2022. Fine, however, falsely claims he won by the same margin, which is simply not true. In reality, my margin of victory in 2022 was more than double his. One of the significant takeaways from this election was the amount of money spent. In 2024, millions of dollars were poured into this district, whereas, in my race, not a single cent of outside funding was needed. That fact alone indicates this should have been an easy win for Republicans. Instead, it turned into a costly battle, which the media has attempted to frame as a backlash against the MAGA movement. However, that narrative doesn't hold up in this particular district. Randy Fine faced several challenges that contributed to his lackluster performance. First, he has a history of positions that alienate Republican base voters, including supporting restrictions on Second Amendment rights in 2018 and opposing an immigration measure that would have helped enforce Trump's immigration policies. Additionally, he attempted to push for Florida to become a sanctuary state. These stances failed to energize the Republican base, giving them little motivation to turn out in force. Beyond his policy record, Fine's personal conduct has made him widely unpopular. He has alienated colleagues in the state legislature to the point where they sought to remove him by pushing for his appointment as president of Florida Atlantic University. That effort fell apart when the board signaled they would rather resign than confirm him. And now, despite all that, he is heading to Congress. Republicans have already struggled in recent elections, with underwhelming performances in both Wisconsin and Florida. Meanwhile, infighting within the party has intensified as leaders try to place blame. Some, like Governor Ron DeSantis, downplay the issue by attributing Fine's weak performance to his personal flaws rather than acknowledging the broader trend. However, the reality is that Fine's underperformance aligns with a nationwide pattern of Republican setbacks in 2024. Across the country, Democrats are gaining ground in special elections. In Wisconsin, Susan Crawford outperformed the Republican presidential margin by 11 points. Similarly, Democrats in Pennsylvania exceeded expectations, flipping Republican-held seats by margins of 15 and 17 points. Data from special elections since Election Day show Democrats gaining an average swing of 11.5% to the left, a pattern reminiscent of their 2017 performance, which preceded a decisive midterm victory in 2018. Despite these warning signs, many Republicans remain in denial. DeSantis, for example, continues to defend Trump while dismissing concerns about underperformance as isolated issues with individual candidates like Fine. However, the broader trend suggests that Fine is not an exception. He is emblematic of the party's struggles. Republicans continue to back controversial candidates, only to admit their flaws after the race is over. In Fine's case, even fellow Republicans acknowledge that his nomination was driven by an effort to remove him from state politics rather than genuine confidence in his leadership abilities. Meanwhile, Republicans are struggling to reconcile their conflicting messages. On one hand, they criticize Democrats for spending millions in Florida only to lose. On the other, they justify their own expensive but failed efforts in Wisconsin by blaming late-stage interventions and low special election turnout. This cognitive dissonance is on full display as GOP lawmakers attempt to spin their losses into victories. The Wisconsin Supreme Court race exemplifies this Republican contradiction. A conservative justice expressed disappointment over the results, claiming that the court has become too politicized under liberal control. However, this comes from the same party that benefited from Elon Musk's multi-million-dollar investment in a conservative candidate. Accusations of Democrats buying judicial seats ring hollow when Republicans rely on billionaire donors to fund their own campaigns. The bottom line is that the GOP's struggles stem from the continued loyalty to a political figure who is damaging their prospects. While they scramble to assign blame elsewhere, the reality is that their support for Trump has led to electoral setbacks, weakened global alliances, and economic instability. Rather than looking outward for scapegoats, they may need to take a hard look in the mirror. For those who appreciate independent media, subscribing to my channel is a great way to stay informed. Given the increasing influence of tech billionaires over social media, signing up for my newsletter ensures that I can reach you directly if needed. It's free to join, with an option for paid subscriptions to support my work. Thanks for your continued